that? Welcome back.
That was
to this.
Frank burping up his beer.
All right.
And then
also
just
keep
like
that in there. Yeah.
He's regurgitating his beer and he's trying to swallow.
Tucker really hijacked this intro, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Sad Dad Games podcast. My name is Eric.
I'm Shan.
And I'm Tucker.
And Tucker. All right, well, this is another episode of Eric's Indie Corner. Eric's Indie Corner is a time once a week where I like to highlight an indie game that I have played and I think is great and is worthy of being talked about, that deserves people's attention. And today we're going to be talking about a game called Bzzzt, or as I'm going to refer to it throughout the rest of the episode, Bzzzt, because that's easier to say.
I don't like that sound. Ooh.
Or is it B-triple-Z-T?
Does anybody get that reference?
That's still not as easy. No.
Nobody got it? It's always sunny when
funny.
They're playing the Family Feud episode with Keegan-Michael Key. Is that his name? But it's where Dennis, like every time they hit the buzzer.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, I don't like that. Pass. This doesn't reflect me. Anyway.
All right. Well, I feel a little left out on that one.
Have you not seen it?
I haven't seen that episode. I haven't watched all of it, Sonny. I did the first like 5-ish seasons, and then I never.
Oh my gosh, you are missing out on so much.
I know.
Did you not watch it with us in college? Because there was that.
I watched the first
2 weeks that I
5-ish
discovered
seasons. Yeah. Yeah, I watched a bunch with you. And however far we got in college, that's about as much as I watched. I never got back to it. So, anyways, so we're talking a little bit about Bzzzt today. Oh my gosh, that is such a weird name. Like, it's so hard to say. It's good for SEO purposes. It's really easy to find stuff about Bzzzt. But anyway, so it's a 2D platformer developed by Co.dll, whose actual name is Carol Matchka.
Why do you put yourself in
Eric's Indie Corner?
I don't know. I need to know these people's names. It's important for them to be recognized that I just can't do it.
Just Google how to pronounce
give me a list. Yeah. Who'd you say this person was?
It doesn't cross my mind until I start recording. I write all the stuff down and I'll like copy paste it from. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I won't have a problem with that later. And then I get to the moment and I'm like, it's there's like an umlaut and
no, that's not an umlaut, but it's probably, I don't know. It's that downward
Matejka
accent. It could be Matejka or something like that. Matejka.
It's a Matejka. Everything's in an Italian accent.
Yeah, everything is Italian for Tucker. Co.dll is the handler that he goes by. But again, another solo dev. So very, very talented individual.
A male Carol. Don't see that very often.
Matejka. So we did get that right. It's
there
Czech.
We go. Well, you got it right. I got it very wrong.
Yeah.
As I usually do.
Yeah.
So anyways, solo dev. The game originally released on November 13th, 2023. It's very fun. I had a really good time with this game. So as per always usual, we're going to break it down by talking a little bit about the story, then gameplay, then visuals and sound. Story, let me set the stage for you. The year is 4096. Two scientists named Emma and Robert have created artificial intelligence named ZX8000. Which is a very cool name for an artificial intelligence.
It's a
because
very
it has an
cool
X
name
it.
for an artificial intelligence.
Very cool name. And so as they're reaching the end of their experimentation with this AI, they go to place him in a robot body, and then they're testing the robot's abilities. And as they're doing that, a Badbert, the name of the primary antagonist, Badbert, interrupts them, causes some shenanigans, and it is ZX8000's job. He must platform across 50 stages to save the world. So, like a lot of platformers, the story is not super deep. It's there to serve the gameplay.
An inciting incident.
You need an inciting incident. You are an AI robot man, and Badbert is doing shenanigans, and you have to stop him. So the only way to do that is to jump. Bert. He should have been a good Bert.
A good Bert.
What's funny is I went back and tried to read the general canon storyline of like how Metroid works, and it sounds really profound and really deep while you're reading it, and how the lore all ties together from all these games. But at the time, it's just like a bunch of like idiot devs that were sitting down there like, okay, we have to write out something that starts this game. And then
we're going to write it in Japanese, and they'll mistranslate it in English, and they'll have different canons in different countries.
And then you just like years later, it's developed into something completely that it wasn't supposed. Like the Zelda storyline, it's like that's not what it was, but you made it into something it wasn't. And it's like it's fun, but it's just that it wasn't supposed to be deep, and now it sounds deeper than it is.
Yeah, it's not hard to punch holes in the Zelda timeline. They're all over the place. Anytime you think about it for more than a couple minutes, it's like, wait a minute. Still, I do like the interconnectivity of it. I think it's fun, but I agree with Shan. It's like it just
doesn't matter.
It harkens back to an earlier age of video games where things didn't need to have complex, crazy stories. You were there to run and jump and have a good time. Mm-hmm. So on to gameplay, I guess. I really like the simplicity in design philosophies of this game. It's really just... It's all about platforming. The levels are all fairly short and contained levels and just really precise, tight platforming challenges. It's all about doing things, just getting from point A to point B. And you don't have an attack, so it's you're dodging enemies, you're running and jumping. It's all about enemies and traps and obstacles and clever ways to navigate around them. And I think the game does a really, really good job of piecemeal introducing new wrinkles into that, either by way of new enemy types, new traps, new obstacles, or new moves. So as you progress along, you can get like a double jump and a dash and things like that to kind of add to your toolkit. So it does a good job of kind of piece by piece evolving that so that it feels like a nice natural difficulty incline. This game does a really, really good job of that.
Yeah, it seems simple and tight, like a Hollow Knight. It looks like it was drafting a lot off of those movesets, which are pretty standard for any platformer these days. But it's just simple, tight, and they clearly didn't just slap a bunch of things for you to jump on. It looks like they clearly iterated to make it a fun, unique challenge in each section of the map that you're playing in.
Yes, that 100% that. It's tight is the right word. It's very tight, thought out, good
like
game
Celeste.
design.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot like Celeste, but Celeste is kind of interconnected as you move along. But yes, as far as tight platforming challenges with really slick, good controls, controlling the robot character feels really, really good. He's got a nice sense of momentum, a good jump, a good dash. It's one of those games where if you mess up or fail, it was your fault. Nothing ever feels I had that, or that shouldn't have, the controls are very precise, and the game asks just the right amount of stuff from you so that when you do fail, it's not a failing of the game design. It's you didn't react fast enough, or you didn't push jump at the right time,
Yeah, there's a muscle memory to games like Mario that have more of physics-based platforming where you have, and it's just if you've learned the games, each generation that they've come out, there's just something implicit that you understand about how Mario moves, and you don't even think about it. And somebody new with Mario probably wouldn't understand it. And it's just funny to watch them try to get through that learning curve. Whereas, for someone like us, it's we could pick up Mario 64, and it's yeah, I know how to cheat the shit out of this game because of the complex physics. But then I contrast to that. I like the Hollow Knight paradigm, where it's just you don't have momentum to your move. As soon as you stop, it's precise, and so you have absolute control over it, and so it's your fault if something fails.
Yeah, pin sharp controls. Hollow Knight's a good parallel for that. I don't remember exactly if in this game the robot has mid-air momentum, but Hollow Knight doesn't. You're pushing over if you're in the air, and then as soon as you stop pushing over, he drops straight down. And I can't remember if this game is like that. I think there's probably a little bit of carryover momentum, but the controls still feel very sharp, and you're always in control of your character. So very, very good design. And there's 50 levels that you can play through. And then I think 10 to 15-ish bonus levels, which is also good. And yeah, each level has lots of like, there are little screws, which are kind of like what Super Mario coins would be, like little collectibles to kind of like guide you through the path, like the optimal path to take. So you know where to jump and which, little collectibles as you move through the level. But there are also some levels have secret areas where you can find like hidden collectibles. You can also, there's time trials for every level if you do it within a certain amount of time. And then you can get like, I don't remember what they're called. It's like a perfect performance medallion or whatever, where if you collect all of the screws and you do it within the time limit, you get a medal, like you aced this level. And so it's lots of replayability for people who like to chase scores and who like to, if you're a completionist, there's lots of extra stuff to do in this game to kind of come back to and keep trying at and having fun. And I can see Tucker's eyes glazing over a little bit. Tucker's not a big 2D platformer guy. Every time we talk about a 2D platformer in an indie episode, I'm like, what can I say to make this sound appealing to Tucker?
I have nothing to contribute besides that's my contribution this episode.
Besides completely derailing the intro, Tucker's just going to be silent for the rest of the time.
Now, for me, whenever a game adds a challenge with a timer, I instantly check out. That is not the type of challenge. Like, I'm an explorer archetype as far as gaming goes, and I like to be able to challenge myself on my own, parameters. So when a game puts the timer on it, it makes everything frenetic, and I don't like not being able to think out what I'm doing. And so sometimes when a game adds a timer challenge, I just check out and I skip past that.
So here's the thing about that. I'm often the same way. I don't like timers where it's like you have 30 seconds to do this. The reason I like this one is because if you like the timer counts up and it's not really obtrusive, like beeping down or like, you have to do it fast, but it's like,
gotta go fast.
It's gotta go fast, but you can take an hour to do one level. If you want to, you could just sit there, or you can slowly jump and like take things really slow, which the first time I played through every level is how I did it. Very slow, making sure I collected all the screws and finding learning the level. But then once I've learned the level, it's fun to go back and like, okay, now that I understand it, how fast can I do it? So I'm never trying to get the speed run on the first time, but it's fun after I understand the level to go back and do it again. So the time trials are purely a tertiary thing. You can 100% ignore the timer on the levels and just kind of do it at your own pace, which I really appreciated. But then you have the option to go back and try to do it quickly if you want to do it quickly. So I'm not a big fan of timers either, but I feel like this game is, and I didn't do all of the time trials in this one. I did like 10 of them. I was like, that was fun, and then I was kind of done with that part of it.
As long as they're not like blocking critical content behind timer challenges like Spider-Man did with the screwball challenges.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, you don't have to get a great score on all of them, but if you just did the base level, finish them, you can't get everything. So you do have to actually keep trying until you get like the second level or better on a good amount of them to be able to access all the suits and unlockables that you want, which I just don't approve of.
Yeah, that was another example. That's a good example of timed content that I wasn't a fan of. I agree with that 100%. Not a fan. So that's pretty much it for gameplay. Very solid, really, really good, super enjoyable, no complaints. And so visuals in this game are gorgeous. Some of the best pixel art out there, really, really good pixel art. I feel like it looks like how we remember Super Nintendo games being, but it in reality is much more vibrant and has a higher pixel density and is able to use a lot more colors and animation frames and stuff like that. So it's what I like to call like modern pixel art, where it uses pixels, but it uses a lot of modern techniques and lighting and
the modern lighting is the thing that most stands out about what they've broken with tradition, but like it just elevates everything, and it also improves the UX of the game substantially as they use highly contrasting colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the lighting really elevates pixel art because it's something you just have to go out of your way to do, because it's not like physics-based, like global illumination or something might be.
Yeah, you have to kind of bake it to each environment because it's sort of like mixing a 2D medium with something that generally is used for 3D effects, and so you have to kind of
Like, I'm not a game developer. I think you can combine a 2D element with like a normal map, so that it can play off of lighting as if it's a 3D object. It's as if you're giving it vertices that lighting can play off of, and it's brilliant. But it takes so much more effort to do that for every 2D object.
Yeah, because you have to pair it to pixels and make sure that everything matches up, and then it's reacting with the pixels correctly and stuff. But yes, it's lots of complicated stuff. And a fun fact that I found about the art design in this when I was doing my research is it says that the static pixel art background for all of the levels features 1.25 million hand-drawn pixels that took 4 years to create. So,
whoa,
hot dang. And actually, one of the reasons I picked up this game is because I was trying to get into pixel art, and so I was like looking up a lot of pixel art styles, like Googling a lot of images to kind of inspire me or to mimic things so that I could teach myself how to, draw and animate in pixels, which is something I hadn't done until about a year-ish ago. And without realizing it, a few of the screenshots I found were from this game, and I was like, wow, this is gorgeous. And so I did a few things kind of like trying to mimic that style. And then a few months later I saw it on the eShop, and I was like, hey, this is the game that I was trying to draw. And so I bought it.
This is the game from that thing.
This is the game. I recognize that from the other thing I was doing. And so I bought it and was not disappointed.
You're from the parking lot. That's how I know you.
That's how I recognize you. Classic Creed Bratton moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, visual design in this game is great. As Shan mentioned, the lighting and the pixel art is great UX. It does a good job of drawing your eye where it's supposed to be drawn, so you understand level layouts. And I said that I didn't often chase speed runs on my first try, but sometimes because of how a level was designed, if you're quick on your feet, you can get through it really quickly just because it's intuitive, like how things are laid out and visually communicating where you're supposed to go.
Yeah, they also, like, in the background at least, they, like, bake volumetric lighting. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that breaks the pixel conventions. That's not something that you could have done at the time. And so that's another modern aesthetic that they put into it. But it just, like, it makes it feel so much more vibrant and deep and realistic. And it also makes the foreground pop. So it's easier to read and parse what the character is doing.
Yeah, it's really, really good stuff. They use incredibly vibrant, like almost oversaturated color palette where all of the colors are really, really, really saturated and really bright colors. And it just makes everything pop. It's a very colorful, visually interesting game. They use color really, really well. So as a person who loves, really good pixel art, that was one of the big draws for me to this game, was just that it's drop dead gorgeous. Music is also very, very good. Composed by Martin Linda. It's punchy and fun and upbeat. A lot of electronic, kind of techno-y sort of music that is a really good backdrop for jumping around and avoiding bad guys. Very good music. Super happy with that. That's kind of it for Bzzzt. It's a great game, really excellent, beautiful pixel art, good music, solid gameplay. Can't recommend it highly enough. You guys have any closing thoughts before we do the last little snippets here?
No.
Tucker, do you have anything to add about how much you?
That's perfect.
And on that note, that's just the perfect way to bring it full circle. All right, so playtime, you get about 2 to 5-ish hours depending on how much of the extra content you want to engage with, like the time trials and such. Available platforms, you can get it on Switch, Windows, and Mac, and it's $14.99. So not a bad deal. And I've noticed
I'm gonna start gaming on Macs after all these episodes.
I know. All these Mac games.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the place. It's like Switch for a lot of indie games. It's like Switch and then Steam, and then it's just like maybe other places, but those are like, that's where indie games live. I feel like are Switch and Windows, and then you might see them in a couple other places. But yeah,
like I love Switch roster of like their AAA games and the polish and everything and they just like put out more games than their competing consoles were able to do over the last generation by far, because their
by
games
so
are
much,
just
by like an unmeasurable margin, like
insane amount, 5 to 1, you know it. But also, you just have to love and respect that the Switch created a very accessible ecosystem and environment for budding developers, indie developers, to just thrive and be discovered. Even if the eShop is like kludgy as hell.
The eShop is butts. You have to discover a game somewhere else, and then you can go buy it on
Okay,
Switch.
that's fair, yeah. But yeah, it's just like the ease of access for people to get their games listed. It's like, I assume it's about as easy as Steam. I don't know, I'm not a developer, but the fact that both of those have such a substantial library of indie games is fantastic. But
I think handheld
obviously
is
it's better
such
than handheld.
The handheld is the best way, I think, to consume 2D platformers as little as I consume them.
100%.
Yeah, and
Plus,
so I mean, how many
price is
handheld
perfect
handheld consoles are there now? It's like the Switch and other Nintendo.
Well, I mean, there's a
Hopefully
bunch of like handheld PCs now. That's kind of a big thing. But as far as like
You
proper
gotta get
consoles,
Steam
it's
Deck,
kind of just
yeah.
the Switch. Yeah, but like Steam
Did you
Deck and the
see-
ROG Ally and the Lenovo made one, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, did you see that Ann Bernick has suspended imports to the U.S. this last week?
I don't know who
Tariffs,
Ann
am I
Bernick
right?
is.
I don't want to
In
talk
Retro
about it.
T-
It's going to make me mad.
RetroTink 2. I just got a RetroTink 2X upscaler for my my old consoles, and I'm glad I did, because they suspended shipment just like a week or two ago.
The mess.
They'll probably come back soon, but it's just it's sad as it is right
Who
now.
even
because
knows?
These are small people.
Yeah, who knows? All right. Well, before we get too far into the rabbit hole of tariffs
Things
and
that
how it
make us
affects the
sad as
global
gamers.
economics, yeah, we'll just go ahead and we'll end it here. We had a great time talking about Bzzzt today. Thanks for joining us for Eric's Indie Corner. Remember, Eric's Indie Corner every Thursday. You can watch our regular series every Monday. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We've got an Instagram as well. Check us out on Instagram. I post my daily data scores there every single day, and I haven't missed a day for like 120
Has anybody
days.
engaged with it ever?
Yes, everyone does all the time, constantly. It's our most successful thing, and I'm going to keep doing it.
I watch it on my personal Instagram to get rid of my stories.
Yep.
Because it just is at the top.
Please go away. I don't care. But you're still interacting with it. It's working. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Outro. Bleepity doof, bleepity bloopity blow.